Hello and welcome to the Afghanistan podcast. Joining us today, we have Alain Corvez. Alain is a retired colonel from the French army. He's also an advisor and consultant with international relations and has been providing advice to various um, departments in France, including interior and defense ministries, and also has been providing advice to various United Nations bodies. So, Alain, thank you so much for joining us. It's a huge pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Thank you for your invitation.
Thank you. And before we get started, would you kindly tell us a bit about your background?
Yes, okay. As you said, I used to work in foreign affairs for the French government in different ministry, Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and Interior Minister. And then I left to be completely independent and free, and I established a cabinet of international strategy, and I'm still with this cabinet. And as my views are, I am a Gaullist. I used to be General Secretary of the Fondation de la France Libre, Free France Foundation.
Okay.
And then I'm very much linked to the Gaullist thinking, Gaullist philosophy, and my views of the world and of the nations is Gaullist views, and it's not, as you can imagine, it's not the view of the French government at this moment. Even if they say they are Gaullist, they are not actually. Then I am. Still, I have many relations with countries which should be our friends, as French. I mean China, Russia, Iran, but that the French government want to make them enemy, which is a stupid position. But anyway, that's why I'm not invited on the main TV channels and the TV medias because they don't like my speech, my analysis. But I am very much invited on different alternative media, and that's it.
Well, Alan, I can imagine being a fair-minded, a sensible international relations advisor is becoming very difficult now. I can imagine the difficulties you would have had to go through, especially being advisor for Ministry of Defense and Foreign Ministry in France. It would be interesting to see how they receive your advice.
Yes, of course. It's really difficult because we are in Europe, generally speaking, and in France especially, we are under the control, under the direction of a oligarchy, which is based by and controlled by the international finance. And this international finance is based in London and in New York and in Washington. Then this oligarchy has only in view to develop the economy, but without taking into account the reality of the people of the European continent.
Exactly.
And then, yes.
Alan, I have relatives. I'm based in the UK myself. I have relatives living in Pakistan, other parts of the world. And they're always asking me, how did Europe get into this situation where seemingly to their own detriment, they have kind of created this situation with Russia, which is destroying Europe's own economy, is infrastructure. I mean, the way Germany is production, development, manufacturing, everything's been put to at a huge risk. For whose benefit? How did we get to this situation, and how dangerous is this Ukraine war for Europeans?
Yes, it's a very, very dangerous situation. 2 days ago, the French president sent his chief of staff to make a speech to say Russia is dangerous and we are the main target of Russia and so on. A stupid speech. And for Germany, it's the same. And then I think now that these people are completely disconnected with their populations. Their populations disagree completely and more with these leaders. And it's the same thing in for UK. And they have to maintain their power for their own political career. They have to distract the people from the real problems.
Yeah.
We have problems of immigration, problems of insecurity, and so many problems that they are not able to solve, that they have to create a fake threat to disturb the situation and to say, you have to gather behind us to face this threat, which is very important, which is not. And it's completely absurd. That's why it's difficult to explain the situation of the world and the balance of the different forces in the world, because the Western powers are not realistic, are not logical, and then how can you deal with people who are silly, who are not discussing logically? It's very difficult.
Yes.
And Putin said that several times. That I used to be able to discuss with my partner, Western partner, as he said, but now it's more and more difficult because they are insane in their statements and in their positions. And now I think there is a sort of fatigue in the populations of the continent. They have already understood the situation of their leaders, who are not defending their own interest, but the interest of the people, but their own interest. But now it's very evident, because we have seen totally absurd situation when you see the Germans, for example, who are cutting from the gas and the oil from Russia, which is very important for their economy. And we have seen that with Olaf Scholz, the previous chancellor in Washington with Biden, and so everybody knows that now. It's very strange to see leaders who are acting against the interest of their nation.
Exactly.
And it's completely understandable.
It is. You're so right. It's so hard to explain. It's one thing being an ally of the US, and aligning your interest with the US interest, but they're actually going after US interest at the cost of their own interest. I just don't understand what the leadership is doing and how they're getting away with it. Alain, how do you see with Trump coming, and he's been quite aggressive in his tone with Europeans generally, but also this whole thing about him not wanting to guarantee European security anymore? Do you think this is like a bluff and a threat just to get defense budgets up, or do you think there's some substance behind it where US may pull its hand from providing security for Europe? In which case, how will Europe provide its own security, do you think?
I think Trump Trump's policy is difficult to understand deeply because he made so many declarations which are contradictory, and we can understand that the links between Israel and United States are very important. But sometimes it's difficult to understand if it is Israel,
Yes,
which is leading, governing United States, or if it's United States which use Israel for its own interest in the Middle East. I think I think the Zionist lobby is very important in Europe also, but in the United States, and that and the fact that you cannot be elected as a governor or as a member of the House, or evidently also a president, if you have not the support of one of these lobby. And then they have to give them promise that they will do this and this when they are elected. And now the situation is so so hectic that we don't know if, for example, regarding the last war and the last strikes between Israel and Iran, we don't know exactly if Trump tried to help Israel or to help Iran. I mean, it is clear that Israel was in a very bad position and on the verge to crash completely by the reprisal from the ballistic missiles of Iran. And in certain view, Trump helped Israel to stop the war, because if the war had continued, the Israel would have been destroyed completely. Then it's difficult to understand exactly what's now. Trump is saying that he said he will bring the peace in Ukraine in 24 hours. Okay. And then we have seen he was not in the capacity to do that. And he discussed with on the telephone with Putin, and he said it was a good discussion and so. And then another discussions, and then he said no, Putin is not a good guy because he continued to bomb Ukraine and so and so, and he's changing his position. It's very easy to know why this war was made by Russia. And the conditions for the peace are very easy to understand as well. It needs a strategic agreement between Russia and NATO and America. And the war cannot stop if this strategic agreement is not established and signed. So Trump is now asking to, he changes his mind again. He said, I shall not give any ammunitions to Kiev. And then he said, okay, now Putin is a bad guy, then I will give ammunition to Kiev. And yesterday, or maybe today or yesterday, I think he said, but don't bomb Moscow. Well, this is completely, it is not like this that you rule a country. And his declarations are completely stupid. I think he is facing a big problem. It's support inside United States. He doesn't know exactly how he is supported by this lobby of this other lobby, and he is facing a very big problem, interior problem, social problem, and racist problem. There are plenty of problems. The economy of the United States is scrambling, and they have not the infrastructure to restart any industrial line. Then they are in a very sensitive position, and he knows that inside the country there are forces which are against him. Then he has to maneuver between all these forces, and the result is an inconsequent policy, which is very difficult to understand.
Hey there. I hope you're enjoying this episode. Let me just take a moment to introduce our sponsors for today. This episode is kindly being sponsored by the Worldwide Listings Company Limited, or WLC for short. WLC is a complete A to Z Amazon account management service. So if you're looking to start an e-commerce business, or you already have a business that you want to take to the next level, then get in touch and WLC will be able to help. Just for transparency purposes, let me also mention that WLC is a company that I personally created and am a director of. So when you get in touch with WLC, you will be speaking with directly myself or my team, and we very much look forward to speaking with you to see how we can serve your needs. Thank you. And with that said, let's get back to the episode. So true. I've even heard, talking about interior politics in the US, Jeffrey Epstein is becoming a big problem as well. That's just not going away. And then we have the midterm elections coming up, which if Trump loses, he's going to be pretty much powerless for the remainder of his time in office, which is one of his worst nightmares. And I think right now he's focused mainly on that, which is why he's just going round and round in circles. Alan, how do you see what's going on in Ukraine? Because if we look at it from January until now, from when Trump came into power, not much has happened in the front lines. They have moved incrementally to Russia's benefit, but not in a groundbreaking way. But this last month of June saw some of the biggest attacks from Russia. And yesterday I was talking to a professor called Vladimir Brovkin, and he was saying that this is not a anomaly. This is like a new strategy where Russia is now given up on America being able to do a deal. So now Russia is going to go ahead full steam and quite aggressively to maybe try and bring this war to an end. How do you see it?
I agree with this judgment. I agree. Yes, I think the strategy of Russia in this war was to destroy slowly the Ukrainian army. It was a war of attrition, and to try to avoid the maximum of losses for the Russian forces. Then this war was made to take small parts of the targets, but to preserve the lives of the Russian soldiers. And in this technique, they had some success, but very little kilometers on the line, the front line.
Yeah.
And now I think they are putting more pressure, and they know also they have new armaments, and especially regarding the drone, the pilot. I don't remember the word in English for the UAV.
UAVs, yeah.
UAVs, yes, and you can see that Russia has much more UAVs than Kiev has. And then the superiority of the Russian in this field, specifically UAVs, is now proven. And then I think this is also for the military expert in the world. It's a very important change. It's a new way of waging wars with these UAVs, and also the artillery of the Russian is very much more important and more effective than the Ukrainian artillery. Then on only on a plan of armament, there is a big superiority of the Russian armament, and they could or they could put higher pressure on the Ukrainian army. But as I said, they want to go slowly and slowly and to come to the attrition of the Ukrainian army. And they are successful in this matter. But effectively, now we seem as since 3 months, we can see that on the front line, they are putting more pressure, and that they could go on more quickly on the front line. Yeah. But there is an important point that you have mentioned in your question, is that the fact that I think that Putin knows that Trump is not a reliable person, and he has managed. Putin, in my view, is a big strategist, and he appreciates the power of the forces facing him and the personalities at the head of these powers. And for Turkey, he has the same attitude. He wants to manage to avoid to be enemy to anybody. He said, if you want to be my friend, I'm ready to be your friend. But if you attack me, I shall defend my country. And regarding Trump and Erdogan, he has the same position. He has accepted some requests from Erdogan and some requests from Trump, but he has never surrendered on any point. Yeah. But he was ready to manage discussions which could allow progress on the diplomatic point. But now I think he has understood that he has nothing to wait from Donald Trump, and I'm sure he will be more firm and more straightforward against Donald Trump.
Yes, I completely agree. I think on one hand, you're right. Putin wanted to make sure that he can minimize the loss of life in the Russian forces, but also minimize civilian losses in Ukraine, and also not antagonize NATO to the point where there's like an outright confrontation between the two. So because of all of those things, I think he was taking things slowly and easily, and it was but I think it's getting to a point now where the longer this war continues, the more problems are going to be created for Russia, because we've already seen what's happened in Syria, the war that just happened in Iran, and obviously Russia wasn't completely free from its own problems in Ukraine to help Iran as much as maybe Iran wanted. But then we also see problems being created in Azerbaijan now. So with all of these, if this war continues, I can see NATO and USA will keep pushing all the buttons that they can push to cause more and more problems and more fronts for Russia. But talking about this, how do you see what's going on in Azerbaijan as well?
Yeah, there is in Russia there is big number of people from Azerbaijan. Some who were, Azerbaijan was a socialist republic of the USSR before.
Yeah.
And there are more than, I don't know exactly the numbers, but there are more than 1 million of Afghans living in Russia. And most of them are not legal. They have no papers to live in Russia.
Sure.
Then it was difficult in Azerbaijan because you have seen that Azerbaijan is supported by Turkey, and Armenia, which was a country close to Russia, has tried, since Nicolas Pashinyan has become the leader, the prime minister, has wanted to come closer to US and European Union. And then the Russia said, okay, do what you want. It's your sovereignty, but then don't ask us to defend you if you are with EU and US. So the Azerbaijan, under the pressure of Turkey, I suppose, they arrested Russian journalists in Baku, and then Russia protested and so on. And then it's a kind of I don't know where we are on this point today. I think they will find a solution to a diplomatic solution to this problem, because Russia did the same on the Azeri that they are in Russia. So maybe there will be an agreement between them to stop this aggression using the Azeri who are living in Russia. But the Azerbaijan, it's in this part is very important, because, as you know, in Iran you have one province which is called Azerbaijan, d'ailleurs. And this province is close to Turkey and to Azerbaijan. Then it's something which has been managed, which had to be managed very carefully. But I think there is an important point that I would like to mention before we stop. It's that the recent affrontment between Iran and Israel has seen the victory of Iran, because the precision and the power of the ballistic power of Iran has been demonstrated to Israel and to US.
Okay.
So I think some people say it's just a ceasefire and there will be again a war. I don't think so, because the Israelis know that they could be completely destroyed by the strikes of the ballistic missiles from Iran. And then you have seen also the countries from the Gulf, the monarchies, and they are slowly changing their position. Saudi Arabia already had signed an agreement under the aegide of China. But during this war, these strikes, Saudi Arabia brought his support to Iran.
Yes.
And since then, again, the Saudi Arabia has shown his support for Iran And then we can say today that the Abraham agreement is finished now because Saudi Arabia has understood that the balance of power in the world and especially in the Middle East is going towards the Brics and towards the South, the global South, as we say. Then this is an important point because Iran has shown its strengthness, and on the military aspect of this, yes, and also on a social point, because we have seen even Iranians who were criticizing the government, who said, I don't want my country to be stricken like this, and who changed their position that there was a coalition behind the leaders of Iran during this war. This was the contrary of what Israel expected, Israel and the US, because they have the same policy regarding Iran. And it was a contrary of what they expected to obtain. That is very important. Then it was a military victory for Iran and also a political and strategical victory for Iran because of the population of Iran, the reaction of the population of Iran behind the leaders, and because of the reactions of the Arab from the Gulf, who said also that they are on the side of Iran. Then this is a sign very important.
I think you're so right. I also think I'm very impressed by the that bridge that China helped create between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and that it has held some challenges. So when Bashar al-Assad's government collapsed, I thought that might be maybe an opportunity where the closeness between Iran and Saudi Arabia might disintegrate, but it didn't. It basically Saudi Arabia didn't come out aggressively to oppose Bashar al-Assad. They just kind of stood by and let things happen as they did. So I think that was a good sign. And also, I was very impressed because Pakistan, who's a neighbor of Iran, they've had hot and cold kind of relations with Iran in the past, but they came out in full support of Iran, and Iran's been very kind of thankful for Pakistan's support in this 12-day war. And basically, recently they came out and they said that the two countries that helped them most was Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. And I was actually really impressed to hear the mention of Saudi Arabia in that kind of good way from Iran. So I think it's a good sign for the region as a whole if these two countries can make sure that their differences don't get in the way of trying to cause some kind of a greater peace and stability in the area.
You're right. You're right. And Pakistan even say that they have nuclear bomb and they will use it for Iran.
Yeah.
It was very surprising, but they said that they are a nuclear power and they will defend Iran. Then that's very important. This is why I think on the global view of the world that the world is balancing, shifting now from the hegemony, Western hegemony, to the new world where every nation, even a big one or a small one, will be respected, and the Brics are surging, are growing up, and the Brics are not an organization like European Union, for example. For example, in European Union, the member states are obliged to abandon their sovereignty, to give the sovereignty to EU. And that's why the French voted against, but it was not respected, as you know. And for the German, the Italian, Portuguese, all is the same. And now there is a rejection of this abandon of sovereignty by the European countries. But the BRICS, there are no abandon of sovereignty by the members of the BRICS. They keep up their particularities, their culture, all their originality, but they agree to work together on certain projects and then on even on strategic agreement. And then that's the fact is that I think the country like Saudi Arabia, which is a very big Arab country, they have understood that the shifting of the world, and that in a few words, the hegemony of America will be completely finished. And as I said at the beginning of this speaking, is that they have so many problems to solve that they are going to face these problems primarily, and then these countries are understanding that the it's the interest of their citizens, of their country citizens, to be in in an organizations which is more stable, and which is more stable because it's based on human rights and the real, and not based on the rules decided by the United States, but based on the human rights. And that's why this organization showed the way, the lane to a new world, multipolar. Well, some people don't like to call it multipolar, but well, you can use the word you want. A new world where each nation will be respected and will keep its personality, its religion, its culture, its race, ethnic organization. And then that's why all these events, the war between, well, not a war, but the strikes between Iran and Israel, the war in Ukraine, all the events actually are showing that we are going to enter a new world, and the more clever leaders of the world are saying, okay, we have to be in the camp of the winners, and then the winners are the new world.
Yeah. Alan, can you see a time in the future where some European countries may want to actually join the BRICS, and will they have to then leave the European Union? I'm thinking of countries like Italy, France, Germany, but also countries like Turkey, who are not European Union, but they're in NATO. And I think Turkey is kind of, it doesn't make sense. It's not the natural place for Turkey to be in NATO, I think.
Yes, but it's a fact that Erdogan is a dubious leader, and
Yes.
he is always trying to get from one and from the enemy of the one.
He's overly, I think he's overly clever. Like, he's trying to be too much, and that means no one trusts him.
Yes, that's right. He is clever, but you cannot you cannot manage oh, to trump everybody.
Yes.
And then at the moment the people say stop.
Yes.
But Turkey, but inside Turkey, he has a strong opposition, and they are leaders who want another policy. And I think it will change, and NATO will change also. Maybe it will collapse in a few months or years, because the reasons which were the birth of NATO have disappeared, and NATO should not exist anymore. And when you see that the main empire, which is leading, who has created NATO and who is leading, is collapsing more or less, you can understand that NATO will follow the collapse also. And the problem for the European Union, for example, the problem is that it's very rich. They have the international finance, which is in Brussels, and with this money, they buy everybody. They buy the media, but they have ambassador in every country in the world, and they have an administration in all the world saying this is European Union, this is our policy, this is what we want to do. Then it's very difficult to get out of this system, because it's like an hydra, which have big tentacle, big arms everywhere, very powerful, because the people working in this system are very well paid, much that more than very well paid. They have salaries which are very high, and then they have interest to perpetuate the existence of this system. But there are so many accusations now against the system, from the agriculture, from the industry, from all the parts of the economic activities, that I think also the European Union is going to collapse also. At least it will not continue on this, on what it is actually.
True, true. Alan, lastly, I'm wondering, as a military man, what do you think about this conflict between Iran and Israel? Because I'm thinking, just the weapons that were used from both sides. One side was using modern aircrafts, stealth aircraft, bombers. The other side didn't have an air force, basically, and they were solely relying on missiles, and they were able to be successful in that. Does that mean there's countries out there who may not be able to afford a modern air force, but then they might decide a cheaper way of doing it is just to start making lots and lots of missiles? How do you see, from a military point of view, is this likely to change the way countries think about warfare?
I think Iran was under sanctions since 1979. So then it was difficult for Iran to get all what they needed to develop their economy and their industry and so on. And nevertheless, Iran succeeded to build ballistic power, very important. But there are lack of there are some fields in which Iran has not been efficient, and they have no, for example, they have no fighters jet, and their anti-aerial, anti-missiles is not. They have a system, but it is not at efficient enough
Yeah.
to beat the strike from the Israeli jets. Then they have some progress to do in this field of the bombers and fighter jets, and also in the defense anti-air, which needs some improvement. But they have already made some progress, and I think this. I was thinking since the end of the war, what is doing Israel? Since the end of the striking, the ceasefire? What is Israel doing on the military point of view, and what is Iran doing? I think they are preparing, and they have understood the mistakes that they have made, each side, and that they are improving that. And Iran now, and with the help of its ally, because China and Russia are ally, and I'm sure they will help Iran to be able to protect its territory from the strikes from the Israeli jets. And I think the China, Xi Jinping recently, today or yesterday, I don't know, he made a declaration also saying that he is on the side of Iran and not on the side of Israel. Then I think the world is moving, shifting to a new balance of powers. And in this new balance of powers, Iran is at the key place. And I'm sure with the help of its very powerful ally, like China, Russia, it will improve its defense, and especially its anti-air defense.
I think that's all right. I think you're absolutely correct when you're saying the balance of power is changing, shifting. But I think it's shifting so fast, it's unbelievable. And I don't think it would have happened like this had we not had the Ukraine war. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes of the West, to get Russia into this war that now has affected all of these countries to come closer together.
Yeah, but I think the Western made the same mistake in their appreciation of what Russia would do, because the Western push Russia to make this offensive, military offensive in Ukraine, because it was not acceptable for Russia to go along like this with this threat against their own country. And it's the same for Israel, who made a big mistake in its appreciation of the possibilities of Iran.
Yes.
And then they will have to pay for this mistake and this error of appreciation.
So true. Alain, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insight and your comments. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you. If anyone wanted to follow your work, do you have any social media or anything, a website that they can tap into?
No, I have no website. You know, I am a Neanderthal person for the digital techniques.
I know you have a lot of French language interviews and on different YouTube channels, so I'm sure people will be able to find you there if they, especially for the French speakers.
Yes, of course, and especially my English is not so fluent, and I express more precisely the nuance of my thinking in French, of course.
Of course. And I'm so grateful for you to be able to do this interview. It's a great honor, and I'd love to have you back one day. Let's see what happens in the future. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your invitation, and I'll be happy to receive the link of the.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.